What's up, guys? Today we are going to talk about Unit 3, National Income and Price Determination, Topic 3.4, which is the long-run aggregate supply curve. What we are going to cover is maximum sustainability capacity and the shifters for long-run aggregate supply. Now, let me remind you about the difference between long-run and short-run. In the short run, wages and price levels are sticky. Think of honey, right? When you're running your hand over a table with honey on it, it's very sticky. Your hand's not going to move smooth. It's not going to be fast, right? It's going to slow down. So in the short run, variables are fixed, right? So the prices, wages will not change, or resource prices will not change with price levels, right? In the long run, on the other hand, the variables are flexible, right, and can change, meaning that wages and resource prices will change when price levels change, all right? Okay, so an example of this, right, is if we had a factory, right, and in this factory we made the desk for students, right? And so we sold those desks for $1 each, right? And, I had some labor, right? I had some workers that work in that shop, and they make $80, or I pay out labor, I pay out $80 a week, right? And in that week, we produce 100 desks, right? So our cost would be the $80 subtracted from our profit, right? Or subtracted from our total, or from our profit, which is 100. And so our total revenue would be 20, right? And so what would happen if we were to change the price, right? If we change the price from $1 to $2, right? And now we're producing the same amount of desks, right? But the total revenue for that factory, instead of being the $20, would now be $120, right? Because we're still producing the 100 desks, we're paying the $80, we just changed the price, right? Now, in this example, right, firms have the incentive to produce more, right? Because they're going to make more total revenue. Now, in the long run, right, workers would then demand higher wages, right? And think again of that wage spiral. Prices increase, workers are then going to want to, or are going to ask for higher wages, right? So that they can afford the goods that they were able to before. And so in the long run, firms would not make as much, right? Or their total revenue would not be as much because the labor has now increased as well. So firms have the incentive to produce more, and since real profit is, or they don't have the incentive to produce more if real profit stays the same, right? All right. Now, what is the long-run aggregate supply curve, or what does it look like? Well, the long-run aggregate supply curve is going to be a vertical curve, right, on your ADAS model, right? So you have price level here on your vertical axis, you have real GDP on your horizontal axis, and then you have a vertical long-run aggregate supply curve. Now, in the long run, price levels increase, but GDP is not going to increase. And that's, of course, that's shown right there. So our GDP stays the same, but price levels can go up or down, right? And then other thing to notice is on this graph, this point right here, where your long-run aggregate supply curve meets the horizontal axis, that is going to represent full employment, right? So if you move closer to your vertical axis, you are going to have lower levels of unemployment. Higher levels of unemployment. The closer you move to your vertical axis, the further away you move from your vertical axis, and the further away you move from your LRAS. In this direction, right, to the right, you're going to have lower levels of unemployment, right? This right here represents full employment, or between 4 and 6%, the natural rate of unemployment, okay? And why is that? That's the reason, because we assume that in the long run, we're running at full employment, okay? Now, shifters for long-run aggregate supply. Now, the long-run aggregate supply curve can shift either to the right or to the left So it can either be an increase of long-run aggregate supply or a decrease of long-run aggregate supply. If you shift to the right, that's an increase. You shift to the left, that's a decrease. Now, how do we shift the long-run aggregate supply curve? Well, the shifters for long-run aggregate supply are change in resource quantity and quality and a change in technology. So those are our two shifters, and that should be pretty familiar because those are two of the shifters for the PPC. So if you increase your PPC, you're also going to shift your long-run aggregate supply curve. Okay? If you decrease your PPC curve, you're going to shift your long-run aggregate supply curve to the left, right? And so again, this is our long-run aggregate supply curve. That's going to be it for us today. Thank you guys, and see ya.